tend to run away from my emotions. I don't want to locate them in my body. I don't want to name them. I don't want to accept the message that they're sending me. I prefer to distract myself from them and imagine that I'm great and that one day the world will recognize my greatness. When I was a little boy, people said I looked like a Holocaust survivor. My eyes were like that sunken back into my skull. I was withdrawn, I was reluctant, I was sullen. When I was about 5, my father came across me flinging manure at other kids, and I was screaming, "I hate you, I hate you." I guess I was pretty in touch with my emotions that time. So my father had reason to be concerned. This was no behavior for a Christian. Where did such hatred come from? The devil? I was raised a Seventh-day Adventist. That's a form of Protestantism. Protestants tend to be controlled people. Their religion springs from the heart. It's in the heart. That's the focus. Jesus comes into your heart and he transforms your heart so that you want to do what is right. You get right with God by accepting the atoning death of Jesus on the cross, and then you get right with your fellow man. If you don't get right with God, you'll never be at peace with yourself and with others. So there are a few rituals in Protestantism. Instead, you get a lot of hymns, a lot of well-argued sermons on the need for faith in God, for love for your fellow man, and hope for the ultimate redemption. So because the emphasis of Protestantism is on transforming the heart, Protestants tend to be very nice people. In the 1990 lecture series on how to be a good person, talk show host, Jewish theologian Dennis Prager said, "For 8 years I've had 2 hours a week with a Catholic priest, a Protestant minister, and a rabbi. After your 400th show, you're entitled to some generalizations. One is, the Jew is usually the most talkative and the Protestant is usually the most quiet. The Jew is usually the most passionately involved in something, volatile, gets angry, verbalizes, lets it out. Protestant is usually the nicest. In 8 years I heard one offensive word from a Protestant. That was the late Walter Martin. He was a bona fide nut. These Protestants are the sweetest, nicest, most self-controlled people you'll ever meet." So the religions produce these differences. Protestantism emphasizes the heart. Catholics are in the middle. Judaism emphasizes works. Therefore the Jew has been the freest to make peace with his miserable thoughts. Protestants are the least free because such thoughts are sinful. That's why when it came out that Jimmy Carter lusted for women other than his wife, Jews yawned and Protestants were horrified. But a born-again Christian, lust in his heart, oh my God. So I picked up the message very early on that I should not express my negative emotions unless the only emotions I could express were the kind, loving, reasoned, and Christ-like ones. So my father's a self-made man. He's got 2 PhDs, and he's transformed the lives of thousands of people by his sheer willpower and eloquence. I've never seen my father lying around getting in touch with his feelings. I've never heard him say, "That hurts my feelings," or "I just don't feel like it," or "That doesn't feel right." Instead, his life is a triumph of the will. I don't remember seeing my father do anything bad. I never remember him losing his temper. I don't remember him yelling at me. I don't remember him out of control. So I was strongly influenced by my father's controlled approach, though I did not have nearly as much success with it as he did. I grew up an unhappy kid, but I don't think I showed this much around the home. I don't think I acted out around my family, because I've never liked conflict in my personal life. Instead, I channeled my pain into cutting other people down verbally at school and at church, and whenever I had the good fortune of running into them. I remember coming to California in 1977, I picked up the word fag. It became my favorite term of opprobrium. Now, my father is a great debater. He did a PhD in rhetoric from Michigan State University, and I wanted to be like him. I organized debates in my 6th grade and my 7th grade, and I tried awfully hard to be terribly clever and to cut my opponents to shreds. Surprisingly, I've never been terribly popular. All of my life I've been mid-level in this regard, the most popular of the uncool and the least popular of the cool crowd. I never liked to simply sit around with this downward spiral of hateful emotions, so starting about age 10, I began running away from my feelings, literally. I took up jogging. Moderation has never been a forward virtue, and by age 12 I had finished 5 marathons, so each marathon is 26 miles, 385 yards. By 1980 my knees were hurting. I was 14 years old. I had to quit. I was depressed for years as I could no longer run away from my emotions. In my first semester of 9th grade I failed classes in algebra and Spanish. Then I transferred to public school in 10th grade. I dedicated myself to the practice of journalism, hoping to become a big shot. For the next 5 years, I pushed away my emotions and my drive to be great. Then I fell into chronic fatigue syndrome in February 1988. Since then, I've been unable to consistently distract myself from what I'm feeling by achieving stuff. So I've had to use other distractions such as entertainment, sports, sex, food, religion, and the like to avoid confronting myself. I started going to therapy regularly in May 1998. Started to identify my emotions. This was not easy. I preferred to talk about sexual conquests and horribly inappropriate things I'd said and done to shock people. Now I'm starting to locate my emotions in my body, to describe them and to receive their message. I know what it's like to pump with adrenaline and excitement and with purpose and passion. I wonder what I can do to recapture this. The solution has to be in action. If the particular action I take does not work, I'll find out quickly, and then I can reorient myself and try again. So my blogging, listening to Dennis Prager, listening to great rabbis, Torah, shul, psychotherapy, Alexander Technique, my weekly writing workshops, these are all sources of inspiration for me. Despite them, I am not as enthused these days as I was when my blog was big and the news media were calling. I was on TV a lot, and Kathy Seif was in my life, and I had love, and I had lust, and I had influence. So now I take a lot of cold showers. I just had a cold shower. Why? You never leave a cold shower with the same emotion that you took coming in. My father told me that 30 years ago. Never feel lethargic stepping out of a cold shower. They're an excellent habit. So I need community. I need to engage with people. The solution is action, engagement, connection, passion, purpose.